It's me again. Today, part 2 of the series, and I read on the poll that the second topic is supposed to be time. And as I read this, I recognized that I already talked a lot about time in the first video. It actually was quite a big part, and that is in the one way that is a little bit okay, because I will have to repeat some things now that I already said in the first video. No worries, there will be new stuff as well, and maybe some practical stuff as well. We're not only theorizing, I hope. We're like actively doing this. And this is not like I'm talk and you listen and acquire some new ideas. I hope you don't believe me, as always. I hope you put it to the test and don't just accept or deny what I say. Both are traps, as we said earlier. But look for yourself, being active. And so the second topic will be time, and I start now. And I will repeat very quick what we said about time in the last video, just to summarize it. And I will point it out a little bit different, because somehow every pointing, even if it says absolutely the same, sometimes it just needs different words and it resonates in somebody, and you go, let's see this. So I just talk again, and it doesn't do no harm to remember this stuff as often as possible, as long as we're not completely here. We have to find anchors for us. First of all, you have heard saying me in the videos, and also a lot this one of this typical spiritual teacher stuff. What you will hear again and again is that there's only now, and it's always now. And this is actually, it sounds like a romantic, like, oh, it's only now, live in the moment, stuff like this. But this is not really what is meant. It is more like an actual recognition of a fact. It's not romantic, or it's not supposed to make you feel super energetic, or like go and jump out of a plane because it's always now, stuff like this. This is not really like this. It's just the fact that there's no other time like the now. And there actually, one could say in this, there is not really a time. Time like we normally perceive it is some kind of an illusion. And I hope to be able to uncover it. And in addition to this, because we asked in the poll, the actual question of the poll is, what are the problems that you face to stay realized? And so the second most named answer was time. And in brackets, I was putting behind it, seemingly floating in and out. So sometimes you appear to have these moments where you're clear, where you can see all this, and where you with your heart, and you're here. Sometimes then you lose yourself, and you find yourself back in a suffering and kind of state and desperate, and you ask yourself, what the fuck happened and why? Why am I always like going in and out, and why is there ever an end to it? Is it ever like something else than only like I meditate for some time and then I feel good and then I feel shit again and stuff like this? Is this offer always going on? Is this the best we can get? Or is there really an actual plateau of peace and joy to find? And I tell you, and again, you can believe me or not, doesn't make a difference, you have to try and find for yourself. I tell you, there is this stable thing. You will not forever float in and out, and the feeling that you're floating in and out is actually not really a true thing. It's again some sort of illusion, and it is based to some misunderstandings, linked to some misunderstandings, and also those I will try to uncover. Because my feeling was, when I was like looking at this, it has something to do with morality as well, and maybe I can try to combine this then. Okay, so then let's first go to time as such and see if we can see. Please do it while looking this video. Can see if this is if we can see for ourselves that this is indeed always now. So this, of course, might seem like a science fiction kind of thing I put, like a fantasy, because obviously it's not always now, because time is running by. Now it is morning, or like, no, it's not morning, it's like noon. And then in like later there will be, it will be dark. So obviously something happened, right? It's not like we're in a vacuum. But this is more, let's call it physical time. And physical time is something completely different than the actual experience of time that we normally share. Of course, that is somehow connected, but it is connected artificially, and it's actually something completely different. Because if you look at it, physical time, and this is also what Einstein said, indeed, strange enough, he said it's not, it is, time is the movement of objects within a space. If you dissolve it from this psychological component, over which we will talk later, there's only, if we talk about time, it is movement of objects in the space. For example, like the planets floating around, and then so you have the impression it's day and night. Also, in the space of your own consciousness, it is the same, because all what happens when we think time passes, seems as if time passed, is that the objects which we perceive, including ourselves, we are outside of the body is an object in reality, change. Sometimes you're here, sometimes there, then here is like a table there, and later you're in a car and you have the steering wheel here. So there's all different objects all the time in your awareness. But the awareness itself is actually staying here. And so Einstein called it not space and time, but he called it space-time. We can see very good that it is completely connected with each other. I recently heard a funny anecdote that I want to tell real quick here. Like this regulated time, like we have now, like we have this time zones on Earth, that if you go to a certain place, there's this time, and then if you go more to the east, there's 1 hour earlier, and stuff like this. This is something what is not in place for a long time. It is since there are steam trains, because this was the first time when we humans had that fast traveling, that we had to make a common time, because up to this point every community had their own time. So if you would have a city, the church clock in the west, let's stay with the west, the church clock, it is linked to the sun. So here we see time and the movement of objects, and this is the movement in the earth around the sun, very closely connected. So it would normally, it is noon, when the sun is at the highest point, then it's 12 o'clock. So this is what we call 12 o'clock, actually, this real-time thing. But then, of course, if you move more to the east or to the west, this slightly changes. So it will be at another time noon here as there. And so when they invented trains, they realized that now we need a fixed time, because the trains would crash in each other, and the people would miss the train, because the one guy in the one town says, oh, the train arrives at 13:08. But in where it should arrive, it is 13:15. So the trains collided. And then they started to actually imprinting the general time. So this is not a very old thing. And this serial time, especially present in the West, coming from the West, is actually a thing which is connected to labor. You can recognize this still today. It is a tech that tells you when you should go to work and how long you work. So this is really a purpose. When if you don't need it so much, if you work for your own, if you were a smith in the Middle Ages, if it needs a day or two to make a sword, yes. But if you work 8 hours a day, you need this thing. And also you can remember, you can maybe see here that this is kind of an rape of your situations, because really you wake up in the morning and this alarm clock, and it kind of puts this authoritative force on you that now you have to go to work, and it feels horrible also, isn't it? So yeah, this is actually a very mechanical invention, and it makes the mind mechanic as well. It treats the people as some kind of mechanic parts of the system, and so you start to feel like this if you only orient on this time. So this is physical time. And we have linked our psychological time to this. We attach to it again. Attachment is one of the most important words. So is this enough to physical time? The actual thing, the actual time which we perceive is the psychological time. That means tomorrow, planning for tomorrow, planning for your holiday in a few weeks, remembering the party last night, stuff like this. This is time. So you can see time is actually pictures in your mind normally. Idhu Krishnamurti is one of these things that he says the most. It is all time is contained in the now. And this is absolutely true if you look at it. Because it is always now. It has never been, nobody ever experienced the tomorrow. That's impossible. Because even if it is tomorrow, again, it is now. It will always be now. When you are, even if you would make a time travel, it again, you would end up 200 years in the future, let's say, still it would be now for you. You see? Only the objects have rearranged. Probably there are more modern houses, stuff like this. So psychologically, there's the now. This is this present moment. It's now, also now when you watch this video. And then you have the memory of the past, and you have the projection of the future. And this forms some kind of a time, the illusion of time, as if there is a movement in time, but actually it's only now, and these memories and pictures change and slightly rearranged in the now. And the impression that the illusion that we have, that there's actually time passing by, and some people, they get afraid because, approaching death, approaching death or whatever it is, makes you nervous. In a few hours you have to work again or whatever it is. Is based on a confusion, again, on this being sucked up in the stream of thought. Thought, as we said in the last video, this the bridge, is a time-based process, and it simulates the experience of time. So actually what happens is that there's coming one thing after another in your mind, and you will react all the time to it. So there's never some quietness. For the most people, many people, not the most, but many people spend all the time being sucked up, being busy, being molested by the mind. Like there's like the phone ringing, then you go there, then you think, I have had to clean this, then you go there, and then there's another thought coming saying, I'm not feeling well, maybe I should do some sport. So and then you go to sport, and while you're sporting, you're already thinking about what you will cook, and then it will carry you there, and so you're always not really present again. And this is actually, we can call the now. If you find the now, if you realize that now is the only thing, what is the truth, is a fact, it's not a theory, then you find yourself, because you are the now also. You are the here and the now and the am. So I thought maybe it would be nice to make a small step-by-step practice to just now be in the now. So when you say, let's recognize, acknowledge being aware of the now, so it normally starts with the sense perception again. So you get aware just of your surroundings with your sense perception. I see now this camera and these books in front of me and stuff like this, so this is the now. So yeah, this is this, and with maybe you can recognize, if you do this now, with getting aware of it comes an acknowledgement of it. You say, this book, And if you stay here, then automatically, and I think you can really quickly just see this, there will come the sense of like the appreciation of it. And this is a very natural thing. If you're here now, if you're not molested by your thought, there's not only you are aware and acknowledged, this is first two steps, and this is fine. You can stop with this if you like, but automatically, if you really acknowledge what is, for example, now I see again these wonderful trees in the sky here, there comes appreciation. Oh, it's quite beautiful actually when you just hear. And how many times is this actually happening in a normal state of mind? For example, the heaven, the sky, it's there all the time, and if you get aware of it, the more you get aware of it, it is a source of constant beauty. So even if it is clouded, or if there's always it looks like an artwork, it is a beautiful piece of reality there, and this is always there, and it's magnificent. We would, like, if you wouldn't have this filter and this time-based carrying you away, you would be in awe all the time, because it's so beautiful. And this is also something that comes very natural. This commenting mind that might say, I don't like the sky, it's always grey. But if you leave this thought away, normally there's this sense of, oh, that's quite nice. So the consciousness normally is filled with mental stuff. Mental stuff, dude, I have to do this, ring, the telephone rings, I don't like this, some complaining. There's always some complaining going on about somebody, what somebody did, what you don't like, what should be different, stuff like this is most of the time actually. And so this is what we call time, is actually being in this seemingly movement of thoughts, entangled in it. This is an illusion. Thoughts are not real, as we hopefully could make clear in the last video. So if you leave that away, and if you and you can do that actually by going into the now. Now is a doorway to this. Yeah? So use the now, and the ever-present now, you can do it all the time, to come back to yourself, recognize, just realize, it's nothing complicated, you don't have to pay very much attention, you don't have to try to be attentive of everything at the same time, that's impossible. Get like a more relaxed, open attitude, and let it rest. And then, for example, you can feel the body is slightly like, it feels alive. You will recognize the aliveness of all things, you including. So this feeling of the body can, for example, be an anchor. Just recognizing things, beauty, can be an anchor. And so this is a way how we can bring ourselves back in time. And I hope that it is clear now. I'm not quite sure if it is clear that there is indeed only now. So please, again, I just repeat this very briefly. Can you see that all is the now, this now moment, is it moving? Or is it something stable and the rest is moving? And again, you might remember the video from the days before. This is this unmoving, observing position. This is you. You are not the changing things which come and go, thoughts, your girlfriend, the rain. This is not you. You are the formless observer of it, and you are at peace all the time. And it is like this all the time. You can recognize it or not. And then it seems as if there's suffering, and you're carried away, and you're like, difficult, and why everybody wants something from me, and stuff like this. Please leave me alone. But you are here, and you are alone anyway. Sorry to say, but it's true. And being alone is a beautiful thing. It is not being alone in the meaning of loneliness. It is the mind being free of corruption of time. And so, recognize the now. See that the now is not moving. It is a stable thing. Just it comes equipped with the memories of the past, and the projections, and the expectations, and fears of the future. And this is maybe now is the question is, how do we stop floating in and out? This impression that sometimes we are present, sometimes we are not, and we are back again in the closed and small state of mind. How come? Why is it like this? And how can we not do that? Thing is, again, like always, is not you cannot do that, because you don't exist like this. And you don't do anything, right? So it only seems like you do your deeds, this ego entity, I am responsible for my actions. You are responsible, but not in this way as the ego thinks. It is not doing these things, they are just happening, and it says, oh, look, that's me. And I feel that the reason, for example, so this is one of the confusions. There must be a confusion about who you are. Still, there must be the confusion that you still mix yourself up with a mind pattern, with something that you can see, not in a visual sense now, but more in the symbolic seeing of the brain, or how we would call it. A definition of mind, this person, this. So I'm like an object. As long as you mix yourself up with an object always comes and goes. It's impermanent. That's again what the Buddha meant with impermanence. And it is everything is impermanent beside you, beside the formless awareness. So it must be, if you have the feeling that you are floating in and out, then you are still identified with some mind patterns, with some self-definition. Try and go to find this. Try to see if you can see this. And this is the ultimate observance, to always look if the seer, the one seeing, if itself can be seen. And if it can be seen, and it must be like this if you have the feeling that you float in and out, then it cannot be you. If it can be seen, isn't it? Like, I'm not telling you, like, isn't it, if you can see something in front of you, you cannot be the one looking. The seer cannot see itself. It's impossible. So, but there again, the seer is a misleading term, because there is not really an entity, a person seeing something. There's only this field of awareness, of perception, awareness, in which the perception and the perceiver, the seeing and the seer play, and they're both here. And this is something to really embed in the meditation. To see the whole movement. It's the same movement in which I talked in the video before. See this. And see that time is not really happening, only this entity moves. And sometimes it feels better and sometimes worse, and sometimes it disappears a little bit and comes back and feels very harsh and stuff like this. So there's the movement, and if you float in and out, you are still mix yourself up with some mind-based concept that the mind created, that thought created. It's not real. As long as it is like this, there must be suffering, because you are irritated. There's nothing stable. You're looking for stability, but in this world of relativity, there is no stability. There's nowhere to find. And I think this is a good bridge, because why do we cling so much to that? Why do we cling so much to the notion of the separate seer, separate from experience? And as I talk with people, I recognize that very frequent concern is to not lose control. So we are very good human little beings. We always try to do as good as we can, what is very adorable somehow, but it really is not so. It's not so difficult to do the right thing if you recognize who you are. Your ego cannot ever do the right thing, because it has no idea about anything. It knows nothing. You know nothing, and this is what the highest insight thought can give you, that you don't see, that you don't know shit. So making from this a good action is very difficult, as you can see. It's nearly impossible. And still, there is this common feeling, especially in the West. Again, I don't know if it is in the rest like this, but I see it everywhere, actually. This feeling that we have to control ourselves, so that the shit doesn't go bollocks, you know, so that it's not like your life will be ruined if you don't work hard enough, or if or maybe if you don't keep the control, you will find yourself like drinking all day, or insulting people like randomly, or masturbating in the street, stuff like this. It's not there's like a real fear of letting go, because we might lose what is dear to us. But this again, the question that we must ask with this, because this is a noble thing, right? people trying to be good people. There's a good intention in it. And I think this is one of the major obstacles to really accept the position that there's only now and that there is nothing that you can plan or control, or to say it differently, that planning and controlling will not make it better. Not as a lifestyle, right? There's very much, even in spiritual disciplines, there's this idea that discipline, like strict Prussian discipline, will like make you lead a good life, and there is some truth in it, but this discipline is something other than the forced controlled discipline of this mind-based entity. This discipline comes from the heart. And if you act from the heart truly and out of the now, you always act disciplined in the sense that you don't create no conflict, you will harm nobody, and you will not be corrupted by time. Because time it produces, for example, fear. When you fear of the future, for example, that's the thing that goes on here in Germany now as well. There are elections in a few weeks, and one of the major topics of it is the refugee problem. So the people are afraid that because 2015 there came a lot of people here from Syria, and people are now afraid that in the future there will come a lot more people and our way of life will not be possible anymore. So this fear of the future, that in the future it will be worse if now we don't hold control, corrupts your actions in the now, and you will start to be mean to refugees, to poor people who are looking for help here, right? Because you have the feeling that you have to protect this good and more or less free lifestyle that we lead here in Germany from the dogmatic Muslim lifestyle, which everybody's so afraid of, but is actually not such a big thing as, yes. So just to tell you, is not so much shit going on here in Germany as you may see from the media in other countries. Stuff like this, quite peaceful here, absolutely, actually. Yeah, but one can see time corrupts action. So I think one point that we cannot really let go of time is that we have the feeling that we do something good by holding. There's something good in sorrow, in worrying about the future, because it will make you work harder, it will make you more disciplined, it will make you treat other people well and stuff like this. But if you look at it, it might be, if you look at it closely, that it is exactly the opposite. That fear, because sorrow, worry is always based on fear. Hate is always based on fear. You will, sadness, depression, all of this, the common root of all this usually is fear. And fear again is something what only happens if you identify with a thought-based concept what is unstable, and the mind, you recognize that you will die. You, the person, the body, this to be, it will die, and this gives like death is the, you say, in psychology we say, it is the root of all fear. See? So this is only because you identify with this body, with this personality, and then you say, oh, I will die in the future because I can see other people die as well. It's afraid, it's frightening. So, and then you start like to protect your stuff and say, now I will build high walls so that the enemy cannot come in and kill me or my people. You start to have the feeling that there's something that you have to protect, and your mind gets narrow and jealous and aggressive and violent, because there's something that you have to protect. Everything which you identify with, you will start to protect automatically. This is an automatic movement, because you unconsciously, one could say, you have the assumption that what you identify with is important for your life. It is important. Indeed, it is somehow for your sense of self. But you can let go completely of this sense of self and be completely empty, be completely in the now, and not project even a single second, not worry at all, not being afraid at all, and you will still be here. You will even much more be here, because you're not so much lost in the stream of the, you will be here, and you will be able to, because our true nature is compassionate. You will react, if you're here, automatically you will react with love and compassion, because this is the normal nature of man, human, sorry, includes men and women. when we're not afraid. And fear only goes with time. And time, as we said, is physically a real thing in the sense of movement of objects in space. Psychologically, it is not a real thing, it is an illusion. So that you can see that fear, what is only possible with time, even if you are in, like, if somebody is beating you, the beating you is not the problem, because this is something automatic. You know, always when I say this, people say to me, yeah, but then if you don't have no fear again, you will jump from a bridge. That's nonsense. You don't need fear to not jump from a bridge. You're not an idiot. This is the reason that you don't jump from a bridge. If a tiger comes and he jumps at you, you will not think about it and then plan a reaction out of it, because then it is too late. The tiger will eat you. Normally, you just jump out of the way. You don't think about it. It doesn't need any fear of this. So all this moves automatically. There is no fear then. Fear is only when you ignore a threat and stretch it in time. So if you would sit there and you recognize there's a tiger coming, but you say, no, I will be fine. And you just keep there and you don't take action immediately, spontaneous action, unplanned action. And then fear will come. Because you are in time, you're blocking the actual flow of the universe, one could say. Yes. If you believe in subjective psychological time, what is just not a thing. So, the movement that we should practice is to make this very clear, to try to understand that morally, ethically, it has no use to control. You know, even if you have to plan something, you want to go with a plane to America from Europe. Of course, you have to call somebody or something like this. You know, but this will happen. Thought will happen by itself. It is, I said yesterday in a talk with somebody, it's like breathing. If you don't pay attention to breathing, you just breathe by yourself, and it will regulate automatically. So if you're stressed, you will automatically breathe faster. If you're quiet, then it will breathe slower, and all this happens completely by itself. So even the planning, if necessary, if this is what is meant to be, right? Because there's no choice. You don't have the choice. When you pay attention, you always know what is right to do. There's no question if you should do this or do this. There's no choice. Choice is a sign of confusion. Again, the confusion will come in another talk. So then this planning, this organization with the plane ticket, it will come automatically. You don't have to put any effort for it. And as you recognize more your eternal, ever-present nature as the formless observer in the now, then you recognize that actually if you leave the time, if you leave the universe alone with your ego, it will take care much better of itself and of you, of this body person, much better than you ever could and have done. And this is something to trust. And one learns this in the actual experience. So again, this comes with an actual practice. So try as a practice, if you like, to go into the now, bring yourself back to the now as soon as possible and try to rest in it. Not just attached to any thought and they carry you away again and say, oh, now I must go and pick up somebody from the train, stuff like this. That you will find yourself walking to the train. Just stay here. And to do this, maybe find yourself some anchors, this acknowledgement, present in the moment. You don't have to look like this, right? It's more like a, or like the body just, because the body is always here and you can always feel it. It's always present. So I think floating in and out of time, to summarize, is two things. First, there must be still a confusion about who you are. You still must mix yourself up with some kind of thought pattern, because always only they come and go. Your natural, your true self doesn't come and go. Never. It's always here. It's a stable thing. It doesn't move. So if you have the impression, then it's not that yet. You have to inquire still in who you are. Put this question, who you are, is one of the most powerful questions. And secondly, I think don't worry about morality. Don't worry about losing control and stuff like this. You don't have no control anyway. And your corruption of fear will only make it worse. And I hope this is clear to you. And again, I hope you find your true heart and rest here, because you would see how simple and easy it is and how beautiful life is, and that you don't need time actually like this. All the information that you need will come, non-linear time, and they come automatically. Don't worry, memory will not fade completely, it will serve you, it will not be your master anymore. So yes, so much I think on the topic of time, 35 minutes. I hope again it has some value for you, and please make the practice, anchor yourself, and now recognize. With practice comes realization. Practice, not in the sense of discipline, but of doing it, right? So have a very nice day, and thank you again.